to another episode of Inside the Movie World. Today I'll be going through the top 10 of my most anticipated movies of 2019. I realise we're already 2 months in, but there's still 10 months to go and there's a lot of great movies that's yet to come. Without further ado, here is my top 10.
10.
Growing up in the 90s and the 2000s, Sonic the Hedgehog was everywhere. It was in games consoles, it was at the arcade, it was very popular. And to see it up at the big screen this year is something to see, definitely. And to be honest, the cast includes James Marsden from the X-Men, who played the original Cyclops, and Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik. Now, a bit of a strange casting, but ultimately interesting, as you really want to see Jim Carrey's version of Dr. Robotnik, whether he's going to be just himself or, him in prosthetics or CGI to make him look like the actual character. It'll be very interesting to see, and I can't wait for a single trailer about it. I've seen a couple of pictures online which have images of I think it's Hillview or Hillside, which is taken from the games. It's the first level of the game, and I think going back to its roots is really impressive and a great idea.
9.
Next on my list is Star Wars, and the reason why it's so far up my list is because the last one didn't impress me, and in fact Solo didn't impress me either. There were good bits in it, don't get me wrong, it's not a total dumpster fire. Honestly, I think there were good, even great bits in those two films. It just didn't blow me away like Force Awakens did, or even Rogue One had its great ending and its great special effects. I watched Solo the other day, and to be honest, it wasn't as colourful as the previous films. It was all brown and greys, and it was just kind of, the colour was very toned down and muted, and I didn't like it at all. There were good bits in it, as I said, but that's the reason this Star Wars is high up on the list. I'm still looking forward to it because it's the ending of this trilogy, but it's from the Last Jedi's disappointing ending, disappointing story. I'm kind of up in the air about it. I'm going there in the cinema positive, going to see it positively, but honestly I'm just waiting for the bad reviews. I'm hoping for the trilogy to end strong.
8.
Next up is Detective Pikachu, and as I said when I mentioned Sonic the Hedgehog, I was growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s, and in the 90s especially, the popularity of Pokemon was just everywhere. It was the trading cards was in every school. Everyone had the big pack about that thick. It was quite amazing, and to finally see the Pokemon world up on the big screen in real life, not just a cartoon movie, it's something to definitely see, and I can't wait. And honestly, they just released a trailer about it, and they revealed someone who is a kind of a big bad. It's like revealing Thanos for the first time in the Avengers. It just gets you really amped up, and you just every Pokemon fan was just totally in awe that they would, because my first thought was they were going to release this movie as kind of testing the waters to see if it's still popular, if the Pokemon brand was still popular. Obviously it is, and I thought they were going to make a live action version of the first Pokemon movie, introducing Ash and Misty and Brock and stuff like that. They're going straight to Mewtwo though. It really takes courage to really get all these things in, and not just have a Detective Pikachu storyline, but tease what could actually happen in future installments if this actually pays off.
7.
Next up is the Joker movie. Now, a lot can be said about the DCEU. There's been a couple of good movies, a couple of mediocre movies, and some might say, not me, that there's been a couple of terrible movies. But all that, I think, is on the change. I really wish it's on the change. And as for Aquaman, that's just come out, I think it's just blown everyone away. But this Joker movie apparently isn't going to be part of the DCEU. It's a standalone movie with Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. And honestly, he does. And honestly, he does look the part, even from his laugh and the little teaser that they showed. I wasn't blown away by it, but it was actually quite good to see him in all the Joker makeup, and it'll be interesting to see his portrayal of this Joker, and who knows, maybe in the future they may tie it to the DCEU. I think Walter Hamada, the head of the DC Extended Universe and the properties and the movies, he's the main producer. He said that they're not concentrating on a cohesive universe right now. They're just separate stories, starting with Aquaman. That's its own separate story. So hopefully, he said hopefully in the future there will be a cohesive combined universe, but right now they're just concentrating on single storylines like the Joker, like Wonder Woman, that's set in its own period. So I think that's the right way to go, to get these good single movies out and see if later down the line they can actually bring everything together. I think it's a good idea. I just hope, and I've got praise for Joaquin Phoenix. He's quite a dedicated actor. I think he'll do the character some justice.
6.
Next up is the Elton John biopic Rocket Man. I loved the first trailer for this, which was released I think last week or the week before. It was very colourful. It was acted rather well. Taron Egerton, I think he's just recently did a duet with Elton John himself, and you know what, hats off to him. I think he's a great performer, and I can't really imagine anyone else in that role aside from him. He was really grasping it with two hands. Directing wise, it's directed by the same person who took over from Bryan Singer to direct Bohemian Rhapsody, and to get him in, I think it's just a perfect lineup, and I can't wait for the movie. It looks colourful, it looks edgy, and it just looks like a great time at the cinema, so I'm really looking forward to it.
5.
The Lion King, the live action version directed by Jon Favreau. It has a stunning cast, and from the first trailer it's pretty damn good. The special effects, the CGI work is phenomenal, and you still get that tingle every time that first song comes on and you see the sun go up in Africa. Lion King for me is just a real tear-jerking movie, and it's a fantastic, fun movie. I hope they do that do that a bit more this time. The Lion King, it's a classic. I think it earned an Oscar, or it got nominated for several Oscars as well. So let's hope it still has that kind of feeling towards it. The live-action Disney versions of previous movies have been very good to mediocre. I think possibly Jungle Book was a bit hit and miss, but honestly, here I don't think they can miss. It's Lion King. It's guaranteed to sell seats. It's guaranteed to get good reviews. It's a classic story. So let's hope this remake keeps the bar very high.
4.
Us, directed by Jordan Peele, the same director who did Get Out. It's his second time in directing, and to be honest, the trailers blew me away. It had a very creepy version of a great hip hop track that I really like. And yeah, it's very creepy. Jordan Peele is now doing the Twilight Zone, and rightly so, because just from the trailer you can see the performances are really spot on. The creep factor is dialed up to 11. It looks really good, and I can't wait to see it. I hope it's another Get Out where it works on several levels as well. It's metaphorical. It makes you think at the end as well, and I really have high hopes for it.
3,
Toy Story 4. The last Toy Story left us with another carer for the toys, and it'll be interesting to see what happened after. Even though I thought it left it strong, it came to a good end with the trilogy. So I'm wondering what will actually happen to the toys this time round. There's the return of Bo Peep as well, which is quite interesting. Where has she gone? Is it the same toy that Woody kind of fell in love with? It'll be interesting to see what kind of story they come out, and from several reports that have been online, it's a real tearjerker as well, which is something that Toy Story is really good at. So, fourth time round, let's see if they can hit the high notes the previous films aced.
2,
It Chapter 2. It stars Jessica Chastain and James McAvoy. And honestly, they did such a wonderful job with the first It movie. The horror aspect was good. What brought them all together, and the kids' performances as well was totally believable. The horror aspect as well, they really pushed the boat out. And what Jessica Chastain has said about this version is that it's way more bloodier than the last. So let's hope there's a few more great scares to come. Doctor Sleep. It's the sequel to The Shining, and it follows Danny Torrance, the kid in the original Shining movie and book. Admittedly, I still have to read the book, but from what my dad tells me, it's pretty damn good. It'll be a very interesting and creepy movie to make, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. My next honourable mention might be a bit controversial to some. New Mutants. Now this has been plagued by production disasters after disaster. It was meant to come out last year, but it got delayed and delayed. It might get delayed again, I don't know, but I'm on the optimistic side because they did release a trailer for it, and it was really strange, creepy, and it combined X-Men Universe mutants with the horror aspect, which is very interesting, and it takes place in an insane asylum. It might be a bit cliche, but it does look good, and there's several actors and actresses there who have talent, and they might bring it, and it might be a hit. I'm still optimistic about it. Aladdin. Much controversy about the trailer that revealed Will Smith's genie. Personally, I understand the complaints, and up to a point I agree with them. It does look a little unfinished, a little kind of strange. The scenes of Agrabah and of actually the Cave of Wonders and other stuff like that, those are done pretty good. I don't like Jafar though. I have the biggest gripe with Jafar. I just don't think it's right. His voice isn't right. The costume isn't right. I think he should be a little taller and more imposing, But I'm still interested to see Aladdin because it's, again, a Disney film, and it's exciting to see the genie again up on the big screen, as well as the Cave of Wonders carpet as well. Carpet was very good for comic relief in the first film. I just love to see that kind of style in this film.
1.
Last but certainly not least, as you might have guessed, is Avengers Endgame. When I watched Avengers Infinity War in cinemas, I was blown away. The first time I watched it, my only one gripe, I thought all of it was excellent. The story, the writing, the performances, the special effects, CGI work, all wonderful. My one gripe might have been that it hops around on several locations sometimes, so you get a bit muddled up. But second time, third time, fourth time of viewing it, it's just an epic thrill ride. And honestly, Endgame is what everyone is talking about. Everyone is looking forward to this year, and it's my number one because it gets everything. Over the last 14 years, it's Infinity War is what started the end, and Endgame is what is at the end. It's the end of the end. It's not the end of the end for Marvel movies per se, just this story arc with Captain America, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk even. It's just all coming together, and you know what, it'll be interesting to see how they get out of it, how they get everyone to come back from the snapping. That'll be interesting. Apparently, I've looked online, and there's some things about time travel and alternate universes and stuff like that. Load of theories about it, fan theories as well, and everyone is so amped up about this film, and I can't wait. These heroes we've been living with them for about 10-15 years, and for them to just kind of meet their match. Not only that, but Thanos, I think he just stole away the movie, from them. I think it was his film, and it'll be interesting to see whose film this is going to be, whether it will be the Avengers or the second part to Thanos' story. I'm looking forward to it, to say the least. Everyone knows that I'm a comic book fan. This will be just possibly the first $2 billion movie, and it'll be great to see if the directors, if the writers are actually brave enough to axe some of these characters off, to give them actual noble deaths. I mean, Iron Man's is teased in the trailer when we see him floating about in space, but you get the feeling that he might be rescued. So everyone's trying to guess what the story is, everyone's trying to guess what happens. Obviously what the story is, they go up against Thanos and they probably win, but it's how they do it that is most interesting, and it'll be great to find that out and just have answers to these questions we've waited a year to come to a fruition. Thank you for joining me for the rundown of my most 10 anticipated movies of 2019. If there's anything that you think I've missed, or if you want to pick your favourites for 2019, please comment down below, and as always, stay tuned for more from inside the movie world.